YouTube, it's your boy, Sean Matrai, aka Son Matrai, here with the Virtual World combo video. Alright, and combo tutorial. Now, in this combo tutorial, I'm going to go over mainly what your Virtual World cards do, so a little bit different from the last video. And I'm going to go over the combos, alright? What to do with every card in your hand. And also going to tell you how to beat all the meta decks. So, Tri-Brigade, Drytron, Eldritch, you name it. I'm going to teach you how to beat them. Alright, so, with that being said, let's go over mainly the virtual monsters. Now, outside of that, I'm not really going to go over what the texts do, because the texts are kind of standard, like a Maxi, Ash, Called By. You pretty much know what they do. I will tell you how much you want to run, though. Alright, so, anyway, let's get this party started, fellas. Alright. Now, I do have a little bit of a cough because I just got over a cold about 2 weeks ago. So, about a week ago. So, forgive me if I do cough occasionally. Alright. So, anyway. Let's go over the main monsters. Now, you have 12 main monsters outside of the end, and they all share the same first effect. So, I'm going to go over the first effect as a standard for all 12 of the monsters, so that way you know. Alright, and this applies for Lulu, Gigi, Lao, and Lili. So, Lulu's first effect, the first effect of all those 12 monsters is a Foolish Burial effect. So, you target one face-up virtual world card you control, send one from your deck to the grave of a different type than the card you targeted. So, for example, a lot of the times you'll target Chuche. This is your trap. And what Chuche does is, Chuche allows us to send a virtual, your virtual card allows us to send one of a different type from the deck to the grave. So if I target Chuche, this is a trap. Meaning that I can dump a spell or a monster. Okay? Because they're different types than the trap. If I target spell, like Quing Long, I can dump trap or monster because it's a different type. And monster, you dump spell or trap. Okay? So that's something you need to know. Very important. So all the virtual worlds, Lulu, Gigi, Lao, and Lili share this effect. The only ones that do not have this effect is Nian or Otakimi, but we're not playing that. Now, the next one that I want to talk about, the next thing I want to talk about is that they all have the same they all have different second effects. So each of your virtual worlds have its different second effect from each other. Now, Lulu's second effect, and this is your best one, you need 3 of this, no question, alright, is that you get to add the third type of card from your deck to your hand. So for example, if I target a trap and I dump a spell, which is normally what you're going to do, you can normally target Chuche, dump a spell, then you're going to add a monster. Okay? Because that's the third type of card. Similarly, if I use Lulu and target Quing Long, dump a trap, I can add a monster. Because Quing Long's a spell, we dump a trap, the third type is a monster. If I target a monster and I dump a trap, then I can add a spell. If I target a monster, dump a spell, then I can add a trap. Okay? So, you want to use this strategically to how you feel that is going to set up your board the best. But don't worry, I'm going to help you out with that. Alright? GG is a virtual world, and the second effect of GG is that during the end of the turn, you get to add one virtual monster back from your grave to your hand when you activated this effect in hand and resolved it. Now this is very good, because you're going to see me, when I combo off, at the end of the turn, we're going to add back, most of the time, a Lulu. In some situations, you get back a Lao, but most situations, we're going to add back that Lulu, which is going to be really good for the follow-up. So GG is really good because it adds back at the end of the turn, sending your follow-up. So very, very good. 3 up, and it's a normal. Lao. Lao is one of the best, and it's a monster reborn in the deck. You play 3 of it. Okay? So the second effect, as you guessed, is after you dump that certain type from your deck to the grave, you can special summon one virtual world in your graveyard. So, first effect, like I said before, the Foolish Burial effect, and then the ability to revive back any virtual world. Now, Lily is very similar to Lulu, which the effect is that you do something with the third sight, but instead of adding it to your hand, you send it to the grave. So for example, if I target Chuche and I dump spell, then I can dump monster. So if I target trap, I can dump spell and monster. If I target spell, then I can dump monster trap. And if I target monster, I can dump spell trap. You also have the option to jump just one for its first effect and not activate the second effect. But this could really help you get the Yan Yan in the grave, and we'll talk about it. Alright, now the Yan Yan's a little bit different than all the other virtual worlds. So what Yan Yan does is if a level 3 is normal special summon, while this card is in your graveyard, you get to special summon it from the grave as a tuner. So, if you summon a Lulu, a Gigi, this thing comes back. Even an Ash, which does come up. Okay? Even if you summon an Ash, it can be worthwhile normal summoning because you can bring this thing back. Also, the other thing you need to know is that Nian Nian has a second effect. When it leaves the field, it gets banished. However, when it's banished, you can return any banished card from your banish zone into your deck. So Nian Nian has the ability to recover even face down banished cards. So we'll talk about how that synergizes with something like Pot of Desires. Okay? But that's what you need to know about that. Alright? So keep these in mind. Alright, so now those are all the virtual main deck monsters. So, the one thing I definitely want you to remember is that Nian comes back as a tuner. Alright, and that's very important. Because Nian comes back as a tuner, be very careful what you summon, because it can mess up your combo. Now, you're probably saying, well, my main goal is to get Chuche out, right? Because this is your main goal. How the heck am I going to get it out without setting it a turn and waiting? Well, I'm going to show you. Alright, and that comes in with Virtual World City Kowloon. Now, Kowloon allows you to place a virtual gate from your deck into your spell and trap zone face up. Now, the good thing about this is this allows you to play both Qinglong and Chuche and even John Woo from the deck, but this is almost never happening. Alright? So, we're going to place either generally Qinglong or Chuche, but 90% of the time it's Chuche. Alright, and Kowloon has additional effects based upon the amount of virtual gates in your spell and trap zone, but this rarely ever comes up, so almost never. If you have 2+, all virtual monsters gain 200 attack. 3 sends the top 3 cards from your deck to the graveyard. 4, you can special summon up to 4 virtual monsters from your extra deck. Again, these are never coming up, don't worry about it. Alright. So, Kowloon's main goal is to place a gate in your spell and trap zone. It's very good at that, and you played it 3. And you're going to most of the time place Chuche. Alright? Now, going over the gates, each of your gates have 2 effects. One that activates on the field, and one that activates in the grave. Qinglong's effect on field, we'll start with that. It's basically an impermanence. You banish a virtual world card from your graveyard, and you can target one face-up monster and negate it. So, Draco Future, this is good to negate. This is good to negate. This is good to negate potentially Shenshen in the mirror match if you get a virtual in the grave. Again, that really doesn't come up too much, but you can. If they do not negate this with Herald of Ultimateness and they let this resolve, then you can negate Ultimateness because they can't negate the effect while this is on field. And the reason why they can't is because when Qinglong's on field, Ultimateness can only negate the activations of spell and traps, not their effects. So, this not being able to negate a spell or trap effect means that you can banish one and negate. They cannot negate this with Ultimateness because it's already on the field. They're negating it. They'd be negating an effect, and they can't do that. Okay, so that's really good if they let that go through. This is also really good to force out an Avion, maybe in the Bird Up matchup. This is also good to negate just basically anything that could be negated on field that can be targeted. This is really good. So it's just banish one and then negate a monster effect, which is very, very valuable. Okay? Now the second effect is if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this Add one virtual monster from your deck to your hand, then send one card from your hand to the grave. Excuse me. Yeah, this is really good. So, obviously, we have a ton of ways to get this to the grave. Remember, all 12 of those virtual monsters I said can send a type of card from the deck to the grave. So, obviously, dumping this is really good. This is a card you want to Foolish Burial into the grave, because it allows you to extend and allows you to search. So, this is very, very good. Alright. Some people play 3. I'm currently on 2, because I don't want to brick too much with it. I want to have enough, but I don't want to see, like, multiple copies of Quing Long in my hand. So I'm currently running 2, but you can run 3 if you want. Now, the next gate I want to go over is Chuche. Chuches are rare. You could target one. Now, the first effect of this card, on-field effect, is amazing. You could target one face-up card in the field, and then shuffle 2 of your banished virtual world cards, and they have to be face-up. Alright? Because otherwise you have no way to confirm that they're virtual world cards. You target one face-up card in the field, shuffle 2 of your banished virtual world cards with different names from each other into the deck, then destroy that card. So this is very good at popping floodgates like Skill Drain, Macrocosmos, and any other floodgate that would give you a problem. This could also be niche removal, and it's really good recovery. So, after you've gone through your combo, banished, remember, to activate Quing Long, and you will see Chuche and John Woo's effect on the grave, you gotta banish them. So this can return your gates back into the deck, and allow you to grind out your opponent. So very, very good. Second effect is you can banish this from your graveyard, then target one virtual monster you control, increase or decrease its level by 3. This is very important when you want to set up your VFD Shenshen combo. Very, very good. So you want to play this at 2. 3 is a bit much. Again, you'll brick with it. Can it be played at 3? Yes, but I like it at 2. 2 is a good number. Now, the next gate on the final one is Zhang Wu. Its on-field effect is kind of pointless during the battle phase. If you control another virtual world gate, you can target one face-up monster in the field, change its battle position. Again, this can annoy Eldritch and slower decks, so you can use this against slower decks, but the graveyard effect is why you play it. You manage this from the graveyard, special summon one virtual world monster from the graveyard, then send one card from your hand to the grave, so it's a great extender that you can dump in the grave for free. Remember, all 3 of these virtual world gate cards can be dumped off of any of your 12 virtual world monsters, so very easy to get these things in the grave. Also, to help get them in the grave, we're also running Foolish Burial of Goods. So Foolish Burial of Goods sends one spell trap from your deck to the grave. So Quing Long, Chuche, most of the time you're dumping Quing Long off of this now. And this is also a good Ash bait as well. Then we have 3 copies of Pot of Desires. Desires just allows us to draw on the combo pieces. Now, why aren't we playing the other pots? Prosperity and Extrav. Well, Prosperity prohibits us from drawing, and as you're going to see, and I'm going to teach you, there's a lot of reason to draw on this deck. So you want to use, you don't want to use Prosperity for that reason. You can, it's possible to do so, to nullify the drawing aspect and use Prosperity, but again, I'm not the biggest fan of Prosperity in the deck, although it could be used. If you don't like Desires banishing, risking banishing multiple copies of your Quing Long, you can absolutely run Desires. I mean, Prosperity over Desires. I think Desires is still the best choice, though. And Extrav, we don't want Extrav because we don't want to banish any 6 random extra deck cards from our deck, because that can backfire on us. Alright, next is True Emergency Teleport. This card simply summons a level 3 Psychic out of the deck. That could be Lulu or Nian, okay, because they're both Psychics. All your virtual worlds are either Psychics or Worms. Gigi and Lily are Worms, and Lao Lao, Nian, and Lulu are Psychics, but Lao Lao's level 6, so you can't summon it off Teleport. But Nian and Lulu are both level 3. So very, very good to get a virtual world card on the field to be able to use your effects. Because remember, you have to target a virtual world card. So it makes it more consistent alongside your Kowloon. Twin Twister, because if you hate back row, then there you go. 2 Called by the Grave. Because obviously hand traps you want to nullify. we're running 2 Called by the Grave, 3 Ash to counter Max C. However, this deck can play through Max C effectively. We'll talk about that. 2 Droplet. This is mainly to deal with problematic things like Drytron and unnegatable crap that you want to deal with, breaking boards, so to speak. You can also play Dark Rule and No More. That's an option. You could opt to play Dark Rule and No More. That is a legit option to breaking a board if you do not want to discard things out of the hand and you feel your virtual world resources are too precious. Because the reason I say you can play Dark Rule and No More in this deck is because it doesn't cost resources, and this can set up a great counterboard to where your opponent, where you don't really care about what they have in their graveyard and their follow-up because your board is just not good enough. Like a VFD that's just going to shut down their turn thereafter. So Dark Ruler is definitely a fine choice in this deck, for sure. Okay. And then for the hand traps, we're playing 3 Maxi, 3 Ash, which I think is pretty much self-explanatory. You could cut down on the amount of Maxis if you feel it's breaking you because it's a turn 1 deck. But I like Maxi to potentially draw into cards like Droplet. That's very, very effective. Okay, the extra deck. Charge Warrior, the reason why is everything you make in this deck is either level 6, level 9, rank 6, rank 9, or rank 3. Okay, that's what you're making. The reason why is your tuners and non-tuners are odd numbers. Okay, they're both 3 and 6s. So I think that comes as a self-explanatory number. Right? There is a math mech that you can make that's level 12, but I don't run it. You could also run Xiao Fang, which I considered running, mainly because it can help me make VFD in some situations a little bit easier. But you don't have to run it. And it's only really effective if you have Chuche. But again, I'd still rather not, in most cases, play the Xiao Fang. But it is possible to play Xiao Fang if you want to. You can. I shouldn't say I'd rather not. You can. You can play Xiao Fang. I just wasn't doing it at the time. So Charge Warrior allows us to draw an additional card. Right? Being a level 6, that helps. Remember, both Shanwu and Qinglong, in order to get their graveyard effects, require you to discard a card. So being able to draw cards to get cards for your discard fodder, as well as to dig deeper into your deck, is very, very good. Coral Dragon, much the same. It's an extender that allows you to draw, and it also helps you make Ultimate Zulkin. We'll talk about that. Juiju is in here mainly because it can be a protector on the field. So what Juiju does is it has 2 effects. Cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects while you have 2 or more monsters in your graveyard with the same original type and attribute but different names. So, for example, if we have a Lily and a Lulu in the grave, then this can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. If you have not a Lily and a Lulu and a Yan Yan. If you have a Lily and a Gigi, then this cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects because you have 2 monsters of the same type. La Lulu works because they're 2 sidekicks. You get the idea. But its second effect is you can banish 2 monsters in the grave with the same type and attribute, and then target 1 card in the field, send it to the grave. That can be something like a Macrocosmos or any particular floodgate outside of skill drain that would negate you, but it can also send to the graveyard a monster like a Thunder Dragon Colossus that can be destroyed. So it gets around cards that cannot be destroyed by card effect. Very, very nice. Again, cannot be destroyed in the grave, cannot be destroyed on field when you have 2 monsters with the same type and attribute. Again, Lily and Lulu and Nian Nian because they're wind psychics. Okay, and Lulu or Nian Nian because they're wind psychic, and Lily Gigi because they're earth worm. Okay, so keep that in mind. Going on, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. This is very good. It's Omni Negate on field. Not Omni Negate, Monster Negate on field. So when this is on the field, you can negate a monster effect, and if you do destroy it, and it gains attack equal to that monster's original attack. Also, when this battles a level 5 or higher monster, it gains attack equal to that monster's current attack. So this is very good. You're going to summon this out with Zolkin. It's a monster negate. Can also negate hand traps. That's also relevant in monster effects in the graveyard. Cloud Castle's an extender. It's a level 9. When this card is synchro summoned, you can special summon a level 9 monster from your graveyard, so it helps you make VFD. And all level 8 or lower monsters cannot attack when they are normal special summon if you have this thing sitting on your field. Vermilion Dragon Mech, the level 9, banish a tuner, pop a card in the field. You can even pop itself to add, for a second effect, when this is destroyed by card effect, add a tuner monster from your banish zone to your hand. This can add back your Lulu or Lao Lao if you pop itself, or Ash if you want. So this can come in clutch for doing that. Some people combo off by doing that. Ravenous Croc Dragon allows you to draw a card. It's a level 9. Also gains 500 attack and defense for each card in your hand. That's not really that relevant. Also, it has a quick effect. You can discard 2 cards, pop a card in the field. This could be good if you could trick your opponent into activating floodgates late, but its main use is to draw cards here. Now, this is one of your best boss monsters, Virtual Kaibi Shenshen. Any card sent to the grave from your field is banished instead. From the field, not your field. From the field is banished instead. So, it's an on-field macrocosmos. It can banish so any card that would be sent from the field to the grave. So, the main things you want to stop with this is really good. So, we're going to talk about the meta matchups with this. So, Eldritch, obviously having this thing on the field, banishes all their traps, which is really good. This is also really good against other meta decks like Drytron, because if they activate Meteorus Drytron, their ritual spell will get banished. This is very good against Phantom Knight, because when they revive off Cherubini, this won't stop them initially, because when they go into Cherubini, they're going to summon their extenders from the hand. However, once they go into Rusty Bardiche and then want to extend from the grave, once they go into Cherubini and resummon like a Seer out of the deck to revive back Cherubini, that's going to get banished. That's going to stop them there and hold them off, because their Cherubini is going to get banished, and they won't be able to revive it with Seer to make like Appaloosa or potentially extend in the way they want to get set up into their rank up combo or into Appaloosa, or Rangominiad if they're on it. This is very, very powerful. So that could stop Phantom Knight, slow them down. Against Tri-Brigade, this is good to stop Revolt, because if they activate Revolt and they summon a bunch of dudes from the grave, their Kit, their Nerval, their Fractal, they're all going to get banished. And then Nerval and Kit will not get their effects. So very good to stopping that. So, as you can see, very good in a bunch of up-and-coming meta matchups. Against rogue matchups, very effective against something like Thunder Dragons, Medolce, what's some other rogue decks? Thunder Dragons can get around it because they can kind of banish. However, if they want to use Call-Up Sparman and Wyvern Buster, this can slow them down because their monsters on field will get banished, so they will not be able to do that with something like Chaos Space. So, very, very good first effect. Second effect is relevant because the second effect of this allows you to return one banished monster to the graveyard. Now, again, with something like Desires, you cannot confirm. It is not public knowledge what is banished. So, this cannot return face-down banished cards. Only face-up. Okay, so this is not like Psyframe Lord Omega. Okay? So, only face-up banished monsters go back to the graveyard. So, this can recycle back your Nian Yan after she gets banished. So, very good. Now, during the main phase, except this turn, the turn that this was sent to the graveyard, you can, third effect, banish 2 monsters with different original attributes and types from each other. So different than Juiju, and then special summon this. So this is very good to summon back, and then you have a recurring Macrocosmos. Also, if you happen to make VFD by using your Shenshen, you can detach this and Monster Reborn revive it. So very, very nice. Next, we have Ultimaya Zulkin. Now, what's very important about this is do not attempt to summon this after Shenshen's on the field. The reason why is the materials for this card must go to the grave. So if you have Shenshen out, you will not be able to summon this. Right? Cannot be synchro summon, must be special summon from your extra deck by sending 2 level 5 or higher monsters, 1 tuner, 1 non-tuner from your field to the grave. So this could be Lao Lao Lily, can be Coral Dragon Lily. This is very common to summon it that way. Can be an amped up via Chuche, Lulu, Gigi, or Nian Nian, plus any level 6 of the opposite type that you have. So if you have Lulu, then you want a non-tuner. If you have non-tuner Nian Nian, then you want a tuner. If you have a tuner Nian Nian, then you want a non-tuner. And Gigi, obviously, you want a tuner. Okay, but that's, irrelevant. I don't know if I went over this before, but you need to know that Lulu is also your main tuner. And Lala's a tuner. I don't know if I went over that before, but that's something you definitely want to know. But Zulkin comes in clutch in that spot. So after you summon this dude, if you set a spell or trap to your field, then you get to special summon a level 8 or a level 7 Dragon Synchro from your extra deck. So that being your Crystal Wing, and then you get the Omni Monster effect on the field. This could also be a play that can help you play around Nibiru, which I will talk about. Break Sword's in here mainly because you attack with it, and then it could also nichely pop a card in the field using any of your level 3s. But if you attack with it, then you can go into Zeus with this. M7's in here because this you can easily exceed using rank 6s because you can up levels as well as use your Lalo and Lily. And when this is exceed summon, you can detach the material, add target 1 card in the field or in the graveyard, add that target back to the hand. You can even target your own virtual worlds and set up a follow-up with it. So very, very good. Bouncer is a monster negate on field, and then your opponent takes 1,000 damage. Keep in mind, Bouncer cannot activate in the damage step because it negates the effect, not the activation. So this cannot activate in damage. Virtual World Phoenix Fan is 2+ level 6 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 2 materials, then target 1 face-up card in the field and in the graveyard, either graveyard, and banish them. So this is very good to banish your opponent's Eldritch and their traps. So very, very effective. It also gets around cards that cannot be destroyed by card effects. It does target those, so keep that in mind. And also, the second effect is, if the Succeed Summon card is destroyed, you can special summon out 2 virtual world monsters with the same type of attribute from your deck. So if they destroy it by battle, well, they have to destroy it by battle, not you. Because it has to be destroyed by battle by your opponent's attacking monster. But they destroy it by their attacking monster, or by card effect, then by their card effect, then you can float. So very good. Next is your best boss monster, True King of all Calamities. This is 2+ level 9 monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 material from this card, declare 1 attribute. All face-up monsters on the field become that attribute. Also, all monsters in your opponent's possession with that attribute cannot activate their effects. Most of the time, you're calling light because there's a reason for this. I see a lot of people call random attributes with this, and this is not correct. You don't want to shotgun BFD. What you want to do is you want to use this as skillfully as possible. So, if you notice that your opponent, most of the time you want to call light. And the reason why you want to call light is because cards in your opponent's possession include cards in their hand and in their graveyard. Okay? So, this does not modify the attributes of cards in their hand or graveyard. So if you call the right attribute, then you can also negate the cards in their possession, which means the cards in their hand in the graveyard of the type that you called. So let's say, for instance, I call light, and he happens to be playing Drytron, right? Then I would negate all the Drytron monsters in the graveyard, and in their hand will not be able to activate. So what will stop? Alpha, Zeta, Beta, and this could also negate Benson because Benson's a light. That's very good. And yeah, this will pretty much screw them over. They can't do anything after that. And there's really cool tips that I want to teach you to avoid droplets. So yeah, Drytron, just lose. Okay, pure and simple. Second thing you need to know about this is the mirror match. Okay, if you call a random attribute, let's say you call water, even for Drytron, right? You call water, which a lot of people do, or call divine or whatever. Then they can activate their effects in hand and get set up anyway. Now, they may not be able to activate things on the field, but they can still get going. And in the mirror match, this is extremely important. If you anticipate the mirror match, you call wind. Because they will not be able to activate Gigi Lulu or Lao Lao in hand, which are the ones that are going to give them the most value. And those you want to shut down, okay? Because they will not be able to activate in their hand, because those, if you call wind, those monsters are in their possession. Also, they cannot trigger the end of the grave. So that's a very good attribute to call in that spot, if you anticipate the mirror. So I personally think Light and Wind are the best call. I think Light's your generic best call, but Wind is also a good call. Another thing that you want to note by calling Light is that they cannot activate Eldritch in hand or in the graveyard to summon themselves, and they cannot activate Eldritch to pop. So that's actually relevant. Alright, so you want to know that by calling Light as well. So that's something very important. If you face Bird Up, another safe bet to call Wind. And another reason why you would call Wind is because of Bird Up. They can activate their Leerlisk effects in hand, so that kind of slows them down in that retrospect. So that's something meta relevant. Another thing you need to know about Calamities is Chuche. Okay? Calamities is a lingering effect, and it does not care where it resolves. So if it resolves in the graveyard, because it always activates on the field. It does not care where it goes when it resolves. So what ends up happening is, if your opponent activates something like an Imperm or Droplets on this, then you chain Chuche and you pop Calamities. The reason why is because if they Imperm it, it's no longer on the field, they lose the target. If they Droplet it, most of the time they're not going to discard a trap. So, because they don't discard a trap, because they don't generally discard a trap, you can chain this, pop your own Calamities. Okay? And because of that, yeah, you can chain it, pop your own Calamities, and then activate your Calamities effect. Okay? So, what ends up happening is, let's say you activate Calamities in the draw phase, right? And you declare Light. But then your opponent goes Droplet, sends a card from the field to attempt to negate. Remember, Droplet does not target. Then you chain Chuche, and you pop Calamities. Now, because Calamities is off the field, Droplet has nothing to resolve on. They have to discard a trap specifically, so you can't resolve Chuche. But if they don't have a trap to discard, then they cannot resolve their Droplet. So Droplet gets canceled out. Also, if they try to activate Dark Ruler No More, you activate Chuche, then after activating Chuche, you chain Calamities. And the reason why is Dark Ruler No More says that monster effects cannot be responded to this. But most of the time you can activate in draw phase before they can even activate Dark Ruler anyway. But let's say you ended up waiting to the main phase. Then what you would do is you would activate Chuche, and then you would chain Calamities in response, because you're not responding directly to Dark Ruler No More. Alright? So those are 3 counter cards that you can stop with Calamities. Now, if you fear your opponent has Gamma, what you would do is, with a Gamma, you would wait for them to summon a monster. And you would generally see a delay on your opponent's turn if it keeps going. Like, you can activate a monster effect after Calamities. Generally with Gamma, they're going to stop you before you even get to this point. But if they wait for you to have Calamities on the field, then what you want to do is you want to wait for them to summon a monster. Because if they summon a monster, then they can't Calamities, then they can't Gamma anymore. Because they'll have no monsters on. They won't have an empty field. So that's something you need to know. And the one other thing you need to know is, how do I get around something like Max C with this deck? Well, I'm going to teach you how to play around Max C. Max C, you're going to summon Calamities anyway, on the lowest resources possible. Okay? However, if with Max C you notice them having a Droplet, Imperm, but you think that they have multiple cards, like a Droplet and an Imperm, then what you want to do, this is going to be regardless if they have Max C or not. If you think they have multiple interruptions, then by all means go for this. Wait for them to summon a monster. Then they can't Imperm you anymore. They also can't Gamma you. Then you Calamities after they summon. That way, all they can do is really Droplet you, and then you can chain pop it. Okay? So very simply, by doing all that, you do not let them play the game. Okay? So very, very smart way to go around it. So that plays through Maxi, Droplet, Gamma, Dark Ruler, and Imperm, which are 5 of the most common counter cards, board breaking cards used in the game. So obviously very, very good. Next is Divine Arrow Citadel AA Zeus. I think this is self-explanatory. We swing in with one of our seeds. We have 2 materials on it. Summon this and wipe the field. Pretty self-explanatory. Nothing really to go over there. Okay. With that being said, we're going to go over combos. Alright? I need you to stay with me. We might have to reset our hands a few times. But this is very important. I want you to stay with me here. I'm going to try to show you off the God hands. I'm going to write the combo hands on the side. So like on the side, I'm going to write all your combo hands. I want to go first. Alright? So I'm going to try to write down the combos on the side here so that way you know. And you're going to see them pop up in the chat. Might have to reset a few times. Okay. Now, thank you for that lovely tip. This is Gigi plus Lau. I should say this is more unoptimal than anything else. So this is very suboptimal hand. But still good. Okay? So the first thing you want to do, that you have to do, is summon your GG. Okay? Then you're going to special summon another GG on the field. And since we targeted a monster, you can see here, we have the ability to send Spell or Trap. You're going to send your Qinglong, because we want to search. And we're going to special GG. Now, going first, if we're setting up combo, we can ditch the Maxi most likely, because if we summon BFD, most likely it's not going to get resolved, so we can do that. Alright, so now what we want to do is almost always, if you can, well, actually, always, you want to have a Chuche set up. Alright? Especially the weak hand like this. So, in order to ensure we get a Chuche set up, we're going to add a Lulu. Also, this will help us with our follow-up. So, we're going to add Lulu in this case. So, if you don't have a position where you can activate a Kowloon or hard open Chuche, then you want to try to get to Chuche. So, we're going to search Lulu, and then we're going to target our GG, and we're going to dump a copy of Zhanwu. And we're going to special summon it. And then, we're going to add Kowloon. Remember, we had the third type of card. So we targeted Monster, Dump, Trap, and now we can add Spell. Okay? Very important. This is also a good method if you want to set up Zulkin and you have specific hands. You may want to add a Spell or Trap so you have something to set to make your Crystal Wing. Now, because we have a weak hand here, we're going to attempt to start drawing cards. And you also have to pay attention to what you want to send to the graveyard here. We still want to keep a virtual on the field because we're going to want to send one of our Chuches to the grave while keeping one on the field. Next, we're going to make a copy of Coral Dragon by tuning our Lulu and Gigi. Lulu being a 3 and Gigi being a 3, and Lulu is your tuner. Now, at this point here, alright, what we want to do is go Lau target Gigi. Now, because we opened up poorly, we really couldn't set up Yan Yan as much as we wanted to. But we could still set up a good field. And with this, we're going to dump our Chuche, and we're going to summon Lau. And then we're going to be able to summon back our copy of Gigi. Now, what this combo is going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to draw a ton of cards. Now, what we're going to do is we can make our Kyuubi Shenshen here, okay? Because we have our tuner and a non-tuner. Or, I mean our Croc Dragon. We make Croc first. So we're going to go in the Croc Dragon, and because of Coral's affecting Grave and Croc's on the field, we're going to be able to draw 2 cards. We should activate a Kowloon first, but that's fine. Just to make sure we don't draw into Chuche. Otherwise Kowloon becomes a little bit useless. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to activate Kowloon out. And we're going to place our Chuche into our spell and trap zone. Also make sure you play around Mech Knights by not activating 2 cards in the same column. We also want to summon our VFD in far left or center, so that way we don't get relinquished Animud or stolen with Chimera Tech. That's kind of unfortunate. Now we can Synchro Summon into our Shenshen. Even with a sort of suboptimal hand, we're still going to end on a field. A good field here. Okay? Then we're going to activate the effect of Zhanwu to extend. And we can revive Lao or Lulu. Now, there's 2 ways you can go about this. I prefer the way that would not use Cloud Castle here. I'd rather go into Vermilion. I'd rather not use Cloud Castle here. You don't have to go into Vermilion, excuse me. But I'd rather not use Cloud Castle here, so I can save it for a follow-up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revive back Lao and toss out Droplet here. Now, whether or not you would keep Droplet or not is very matchup specific. But in general case, you really don't need to keep Droplet here. Now, we're going to banish our Chuche to increase the level of Lao by 3. And then we can make our Calamities in defense. Now, I should have summoned Shenshen in defense. And the reason why is you want to play around Lightning Storm. Okay, so now we can summon Calamities. And we'll pass turn. So this end field, I'm going to write this in comment. We started out with GG, double GG, plus Lao. Alright, and that could be really any virtual card, so any level 3 summonable, I should say. Gives you this field, which is very strong, even with a weaker hand. Okay, so we're going to pass, and then remember, GG in the end phase. Remember how I talked about adding back Lulu? You're going to add Lulu back here. And you're going to pass on this field. Now, we're going to go Calamities in the draw phase. If we saw an imperm delay, then we pop it. Or we can even wait if we think they have multiple delays for them to summon a monster. And because we summon Calamities in defense, we are invulnerable to something like Lightning Storm. He can't activate effects, and then we make our turn. We can even opt to pop his monster here, which we will. He's a light, so he wouldn't be able to activate this thing in the grave. Not that it could activate anyway, because it's destroyed by battle effect. And then here we can shuffle back Zhanwu and our Chuche back into our deck to pop. If it could be destroyed, but it can't be destroyed by trap effects because we don't read. This never comes up. But normally if you had a random face-up card, we could pop it. But either way, we can put the cards back in our deck. It's still really good. Now, on the follow-up, we're going to go Lulu, target Chuche, so that way we can add a monster. You generally want to target Trap or Spell with Lulu so you can add monster. Most of the time. Unless you really feel it like turn 1, if you want to set up your Chuche, then you don't need to do that. But if you, most of the time, want to, add a monster. But if you feel like you have a good enough state and you want to set up the Chuche, like I said, you really want to, then by all means target a monster so that way you can dump a spell or trap to add your Chuche. Your Kowloon that goes into your Chuche. Okay, by all means. Now in this case, we're going to go Lily and we're going to target our Lulu so that way we can dump a trap, and a spell. If we wanted to. Just deck then. You could also optionally trigger target trap to dump Nian, but it's not really that important. Right now we're just going for what would be game. From here there's a ton of ways we can go about this. We can go GG, target trap, send Nian, special summon it, then we can synchro again into a charge warrior. Keep in mind in the state you cannot make Zolkin because you have Shenshen on the field. Now we're going to draw. And since we have Shenshen, these materials get banished, which can help fuel up your Chuche to put resources back in the deck. So think of it that way as well. At this point, we can do whatever we want. We can make Fam. We could do whatever the heck we want to do. Also, so let's do it. Perfect. Now we can go M7, detach, and bounce one of his cards, so do that. Alright, so he pops our VFD. So what we can do now is we can do a bunch of different things, honestly. We have Nian set up already, so what we can do here is we can go Lalo, target our Chuche, dump another Nian, summon itself back, summon back a GG, then we can special summon out of Nian. Then we can go... we could do a lot of things here. We could even reduce the level, make this do some other shenanigans, like lower this and then do other things. What I could do here is if I want to go into a Crystal Wing play, I can go Chuche. Actually, no, I can't, because Shenshen's on the field. So we can't make Crystal Wing, obviously, but we could still use this to make a rank 6 play. So we can go into a Bouncer if we want to. Just so many options here. And then, if we want even more removal, we can tune off the GG and the Nian to summon out this copy of Juiju. And because we have two monsters with the same type in the grave, we could send one to the graveyard. So just endless removal here. We can put back Calamities in the extra deck. That's also relevant. So another thing you might want to do is if you have a Shenshen and they pop your VFD while Shenshen's out, then you have the ability with Nian to put back your Calamities in the extra deck if you wanted to do that. So very, very good. So at that point, we probably even had the option to set up another copy of Calamities if we wanted to. But we didn't need to, as to say, because we're going to go for lethal right now. Now we can go Qinglong, and we can add a copy of Lulu. Just toss out Twin Twisters, I guess. Then we can go summon Lulu, and we just swing for game. Easy peasy. Right? Very nice. So, ton of boards that you can make here. Okay. Now. That was an optimal hand. That was GG plus any level 3 plus a Lalo. Like I said, we might have to reset a few of these hands if we brick. Also, that could be GG plus E-Telly as well. I didn't really bring that up. Okay, this one we're going to have to reset. Reset, this is a total brick. Can't really do anything with that AM. Ah! I meant to go first. Oh well. It's fine, pretend we're going first. Let's see if we get a brick on this. Well, our hand's already looking bricky, but we need a virtual world here. Okay. So again, this is GG. We'll call this GG plus Kowloon. Now, opening Kowloon makes any of your hands better. So, if you open up Kowloon, it makes your hands that much better. Alright? So, with that being said, let's pretend we didn't open up Droplets and we opened up Kowloon. So if you open up GG plus Kowloon and your extender, we're going to set up Chuche. Then we're going to go GG, target Kowloon, dumping your Qinglong. Again, very good. This will then allow you to use Qinglong's effect to search out a copy of Lulu. Then we can dump out our Max C. And then we're going to Lulu target Chuche to dump a spell here. So that way we can search a monster. Theoretically, we should have dumped another Qinglong so we'd be set on the follow-up. In this case, I'm going to search Lao Lao, because this is going to give me the most extension possible. Now, we're going to activate E-Telly to summon out Nian Nian. So that way we can extend as much as possible. And then we are going to tune our Nian Nian with our Lulu here. There's a reason why you tune off Nian first. And this will go into our Coral Dragon. It is also possible that you do draw into extenders, so keep that in mind. Now, we already have Nian in the grave, so we want to start setting up our traps. We're going to dump Zhan Wu. That should be priority 1, is Zhan Wu. Then we're going to send back Lulu, and then we can trigger Nian Nian. Alright, so now we can extend even further. So we can make this copy of our level 9 Synchro, or we could go into Charge Warrior here. That's also an option as well. But we're going to go in the Ravenous Croc here. And we will be able to draw 2. Okay, we did draw into a Lily, but I don't want to pay mind to this, because if I show you that we drew in the Lily, then what this is gonna do is it's not gonna really be based on the setup that we would have had. So pay attention that we didn't draw into Lily. I don't want you to pay attention about that. All right, I want to show you what you're gonna do if you didn't draw into her. So we're going to summon back our GG, offer Zhan Wu, and then we can discard any random card that we drew. It does not matter. We can make Shenshen here. And this sets up a VFD. Now, another thing, too, is instead of Break Sword, you can even play something like Totem Bird. And then if you go into, like, Totem Bird, you can end on... Or if you play the other rank 3 that negates a monster effect, I can't think of its name, you can end on an additional negate, and you can also add on to an additional spell trap negate, if you wanted to. So if this is like a Totem Bird, you could do this. Now, again, we're pretending we go turn 1, so we're not going to attack here. So then we can make calamities. And then we can set call by or set any additional cards that we drew. I know somebody in comments is going to say, and then we can trigger Gigi to add back Lalo. I know somebody in comments is going to say, but Sean, you drew into Lily. I know we did, but and then we with obviously calamities in the draw phase. I got a little bit distracted there. I know we did, I know, but my goal is to show you what would happen if you didn't draw into that. Because I'm trying to show you a setup that's based upon that. But technically, since we drew in the Lily, you can extend there. So if you wanted to know if you could, you can. Alright, so now we're going to dump Nian to the grave. That's fine. And we can go ahead and special summon Lulu. I mean, Gigi, not Lulu. You want to summon Gigi because Nian's going to come back as a tuner. And then we can make an Ultimaya Zulkin here, because we're going to go into Charge Warrior. We'll Charge Warrior. You could also Chain Block with Nian Nian. And we'll trigger Nian Nian to put back our Zhanwu. So we can use our Monster Reborn effect again. Now we can make Ultimaya Zulkin here. Now, there is something that you can note here, and I want you to be very cautious to the one about. There is something we can do here additionally, and I'm going to show you. Because we do have Lily, let's say we drew into it, right? We can go Lily, target monster, dump spell, and then we can dump Zhanwu again. If we did not have Lily in hand, we probably, well, in this case, we would never. We would target with Trap. Since we have Chuche on the field with Lala, we'd dump a spell. But we had a Lily in hand, so we didn't have to do that. Now we can make Ultimaya Zulkin. This is just overkill at this point. Set. Then trigger Zulkin. Special summon out Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. But wait, there's even more. Surprisingly, we now have Qinglong to search out Lulu, to discard Itelli. Now we can go Lulu, target Chuche. Dump another spell. Search another monster. Like I said, at this point it's just like to the realm where it's just like completely overkill. You can search another copy of Lala if you want. From this point you can even choose to make a rank 6 play, crazy enough. So what we can do here is we can trigger Zhanwu. Summon back. It doesn't even matter. A Lily. As long as it's level 6. Toss Lalo. Make an M7. Activate M7. Detach. Stardust Charge Warrior. Add back Lalo. Well, technically we should add it back Lily, but it's fine. It's just overkill at this point. Technically I wanted to add back Lily there, but so we could synchro for a 9, but like I said, overkill at this point. It doesn't even matter. Did we not detach? Oh, also, you want to detach Shenshen. I thought we detached Shenshen. We didn't. I meant to detach Shenshen last turn. We're just going to pop our own WoW out and recycle resources. And then we have game on field. Oh, actually, we're a bit off. Oh, well, it's fine. No, we're not. I knew we had game. Yeah, 8,700. Yeah, I was right. Oh my gosh. Yep, GG. And then we have lethal on the field. Okay. Trying to get a hand where we get the God hand. I definitely want to show you that off. Right? But as you can see, GG plus an extender plus Kowloon got us to where we need it to be. I'm trying to get a hand where I open up GG, Lulu, and Kowloon. Or something where we open up like Lulu, Kowloon, or something like that. We've already pretty much gone over what this hand can do here. So I don't really want to go over this. This is pretty much the same thing. Well, actually, no, we'll go over this. This is Lulu plus weak. This is even weaker than our other open, honestly. So, weak, I want to say this is kind of one of the weakest openers you can have. Alright. So what you would do here is you would summon Lulu, activate Lao to target your Lulu, to dump a Qinglong. Then we would go, and in this case, Lao is completely dead. So our only hope to really comboing off into this hand can still make VFD, believe it or not. You can still make VFD. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add GG here. Discard goods, so we can keep our hand traps. Now we can activate GG, targeting Lao or Lulu, doesn't matter. We'll dump Chuche, very important. Then we're gonna go right into Shenshen. But also, this is very important to know too, because this is an economical play. Then we're gonna Chuche. We're gonna banish to decrease Shenshen, then go in the Cloud Castle. Like I said, very weak hand, because we can't even set up Chuche here. But this allows us to set up our Ultimaya's, I mean not our Ultimaya, our VFD. But we still have two hand traps here, so keep that in mind. With a Shenshen follow-up. And we do get to add back because we searched the GG, which is why you want to search GG here. So we have a follow-up. Alright, so end phase. Yep, we're going to take back our Lao in this case. Not Lulu, believe it or not. We actually want to get Lao here, because this will allow us to extend the most out of anything. Alright, at this point, we'll Calamities. Okay. And our draw is really bad. But we could still go off. So we'll banish Lulu here and our GG to summon out our big boy. I added Lala hoping for a better draw there, but it's okay. You could add Lulu if you think you're not going to draw into anything. Lulu could be a safer add to get Chuche set up. Alright, so at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to search either another copy of GG or Lily if I really want to rank 6 here. I could add Lily here. Then discard Droplet. We'll go Lily, targeting Shenshen to dump Shamwu. There's no need. We'll just make an M7. You could dump another copy of Qinglong there if you wanted to. Well, we have both of them banished actually, so you can't. So we'll detach, and at this point we can add back our Lao for another follow-up. You could also, like I said before, you could go into Lulu there. That's actually very acceptable. To make a Lulu in that spot. Here, what you want to do is you want to trigger Shenshen to put back your Lulu. So that way you have more fodder for itself to resummon it. Should it happen to get destroyed. And we still have an on-field Macrocosmos here. And keep in mind under Shenshen, you can still activate your hand traps. Hand traps get still resolved because the cards sent from the hand are not going to the grave. Now we can activate M7 to add back Lulu, not Lily. Now we'll activate Lulu. Dump spells so we can add Chuche. Very important. So yeah, last turn it probably would have been, not to expect the top deck, it would have been better for us to go potentially to add Lulu back instead of a Lalo. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go target our whatever, dump a spell. As long as it's a monster, it's fine. And then we can special summon back Lily. And at this point we can make Overkill. We can exceed into Fan. No Zulkin because we have this on the field. Now Fan can only target face-up cards, so that's something you should know. This is just deck thinning, because thinning is winning. And then we can make a Vermilion mech here. And put more fodder for Chuche. And like I said, completely overkill. You can even make a bouncer instead of Fan if you want to. But then you could just turn this dead Fan into a Zeus, which is good. If we didn't have game here. So, GG. Like I said, complete overkill, but just showing you what the deck can do. Alright. I do not stop until we get the God Hand. I will keep resetting until we get the God Hand. I need to see the God Hand here. I want to show you the God field. Show me the God Hand. This is a really good hand, so to speak. Well, it's not that good, honestly. Because it's kind of a odd... This is a... Well, no, this is kind of good. Okay. If we go Desires, we can get hard punished. Alright. So what we're going to do is we're going to go Queen Long. We're going to start out with Lulu. Target this. Dumping a trap. So this hand can probably set up a Crystal Wing and a VFD. Alright, so in this situation, if I want to maximize out, what we're going to do here is we're going to grab our Lily. If I want to maximize on our full board state, we're going to do that. Now we're going to go Lily, target Lulu, dump Queen Long, and then we can also dump both of our traps. And I also want to make sure we have a... You don't want to resolve Desires either, because you want to have a spell in hand for your VFD. Now we can add Lalo, pitching, or Ash. Then we're going to normal the Yan, and we're going to set up our Crystal Wing play. So we're going to go in the Coral Dragon here, which is going to allow us to draw. Oh! No, I meant to... Alright, I meant to go Coral Dragon there. That was totally unintended. Alright, well, it's fine. We'll just set up based upon that error we made. So, if we misplayed, we didn't go in the Coral. We'll continue on play anyway. That was totally meant to go in the Coral Dragon, though, just to let you know. Still might be able to make combo here anyway. Even through that misplay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make Zulkin. Yep, we still can. We still can make a really good field here. Despite that misclick. Alright, so we're going to activate Zulkin here. And we're going to go in defense to play around Lightning Storm. Now we'll synchro into our 9. So despite that misclick, we're still going off. We're going to Chuche. Reduce. Make our Cloud Castle here. This will revive back Shenshen. This will not give us our full field. Excuse me. But still a very, very good field. But we do not also have Chuche established, so keep that in mind. We're going to put a Chuche back in the deck here. And we're going to resummon. You can also option to put Qinglong back in the deck because we opened it. We're only running 2. So, very, very good turn 1 setup here. Despite the misclick. So this ends us on Crystal Wing. This one was Lulu plus Kowloon plus Nian. But if you have any other level 3, it should work to get this field too. Providing you don't misplay. To replace Nian. Even Ash might work. There you go. Okay. So now we're in a really prime position to win. Again, I'm not really focused on showing you the detached VFD here. I'm just trying to show you the combo off. The combos. So if I'm typing and we're missing the VFD window to resummon Shenshen, I'm sorry. I'll try to show off one of them. Now we can add Lalo. And then we can just revive here. And we're in a great spot. Now we can even trigger Nian Yan, summon. And this is where you can make a rank 3. You can make Break Sword here. Then we can go Lalo. Target here. Dump a GG. So we can M7 it back. Like I said, completely overkill at this point. Summon back any level 6. Make an M7. Also, the monster that's summoned back by Lalo has its effects negated. So keep that in mind. The same with John Woo. But like we talked about before, absolute overkill. So if we had the full God of him, we'd be able to set up a Shenshen along with Crystal Wing and VFD. That's your best board. Alright. I'll try one more time to get the God in to avoid this video from going on too long. Because we're already an hour and 13 minutes. Oh my gosh. Alright, so this is pretty much the same thing I showed off before. Alright, so I can't get the Guardian. Just know the Guardian is almost what we saw before. It's almost what we saw before, except that we'd have a Chuche plus a Shenshen on the field. Alright, let's see. Am I going to get it this time? After this, I'm trying to get it. Yeah, no. Okay. That's fine. Alright, so that's going to be the video. We're going to stop here. That's my combo guide for Virtual World for you. So your Guardian, I'm going to write in chat here, would be Lulu plus Kowloon plus Gigi. This is your utter God hand. Alright, that's your utter God hand, which will end on Shenshen plus VFD plus Crystal Wing. Alright. So that's the Virtual World full combo guide. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Also, If you have not subscribed to YouTube, make sure you do so. Like, comment on this. And if you want to see me play this as well as many of the decks live, we may take virtual into the tournament. Make sure you follow me on Twitch. I'm going to be doing a Phantom Knight climb. I am doing a Ritual Beast climb. All those who know me from Duel Learn. So I play Ritual Beast. So follow me on Twitch if you want to see these climbs live as well as other things. Later on, I am doing a Sky Striker climb around 9-10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure you are followed if you want to see that. This is Tomatry signing out. Peace.